Alright, so we're going to do a quick review of a slingshot that I recently received from Grade Goods. One thing I do want to mention off the top is that this frame could be considered a second due to a couple cosmetic blemishes, one on the fork and one on the arm of the frame that were caused by the router that are simply cosmetic. They do not affect the performance in any way. So I did receive this frame at a discounted price. The blemishes are, as you can see, right here on the tip and also on the arm here. Now, if you had seen any of my previous videos in the past, you know what frame I'm going to be talking about today, and that would be the Hydra. This is an absolutely phenomenal frame. I love this design. It is extremely comfortable to hold, either in pinch grip or thumb support. I currently have this banded up with 1/2" TheraBand Gold with an E-Shot BB pouch. Specifically, I use these pouches specifically for 1/4" steel. I've been shooting this a little bit over the past couple days, and I'm extremely impressed with this frame. This one thing if you'll notice on the forks, there are no holes, so this would be a Mark 1 version, and the Mark 2 currently has holes in there, so you can use the wrap and snare method of attaching your tubes. That was developed by Toddy. Now, couple things I love with this design. It is very small. The fork gap on this is 1.5 inches. The fork tips themselves are 0.75 inches, and the overall height is 4 inches tall. It is 3 inches wide and 1/2 inch thick. Now, because this is HDPE, something to keep in mind is any frame made out of HDPE, whether they be from Grade Goods or Simple Shot or anybody else that makes HDPE frames, they can become slippery when wet. If you're like me and if you shoot out in the garage at night and it's still about 80-90 degrees in the garage, it's a little warm, you start to perspire, hands get a little wet, and frames kind of slip a little bit. There are a couple aftermarket products you can use to put on the frame to make them slip less. However, with this frame, I do not believe that is needed. One thing you'll notice is when I grip the frame, this arm comes in and kind of really holds it in place. Now, if I shoot a pinch grip, that frame's really not going many places. I can pull back, and that frame is pretty much anchored in my hand very well. Same thing if I shoot at thumb support. I can torque it. It's not moving. It is a very comfortable, well-designed frame. Absolutely love this one. Highly recommend getting the Hydra. If this frame does seem a little too small for you, keep in mind, as I mentioned, the height. I can easily palm this frame. There are a couple other options. You can get the Kraken, which does not have the hole in the forks, and that can be shot over the top or through the forks with the traditional wrap and tuck. Or if you want a larger frame still, you can get the Cthulhu, which is 3/4 inch thick, a lot larger than this one. It does have the hole in there for the wrap and snare method, and can also be shot over the top or through the fork. Or if you want to get some hardware, you can also do make your own tabs for this, for the Cthulhu or the Hydra frame. Phenomenal frame. There will be a link in the description below on where you can pick up one of these for yourself. So, enough rambling, let's get on to some shooting. These first couple shots are being shot in thumb support. Distance is probably only about 18 feet or so. So not too large, or not too great of a distance. Can't really get the camera very close and stand far enough away that so you can hear me talking, even though you might not want to. Chest high. You may not want to hear me babble while I shoot. One thing I did notice with this frame is the fork tips are pretty wide. You can easily put heavier bands on this to shoot heavier ammo. Something that can be very easily done. If you get your bands from Simple Shot pre-cut, those ones are a little bit too wide. You might want to either fold those over or do something else. I can't remember the exact measurements of the fork tips, but you can easily put double layer 30 black and still shoot 38 still very easily with this. So in speaking with Metro when he was designing this frame, I will say that I was privileged enough to see this in the kind of the prototype stage before it was released to the public. And in speaking with him about design, one thing he did say is that he wanted this, he intends it to be more of a BB pocket plinker with the size, but the fork tips he did design in mind to use heavier bands as well for larger ammo. Now I'm going to switch this up and go to pinch grip. Again, still 45-degree angle and partial butterfly. One thing I have noticed is that with shooting the flats versus tubes like I normally do on most of my smaller ammo frames, flats get tangled. So you can see even just after taking one shot, I was able to dial in with a completely different grip style with this frame fairly quickly. This is indeed a very versatile frame. And that frame, that shot was in thumb support. You get the idea. This is a great frame. This is one I can easily highly recommend. I will be looking forward to the day when, I hate to say it, but when these bands wear out, so I can start shooting BBs with it. Or I may just keep this and shoot quarter-inch still with this and wait until I get the metal frame and have that my BB shooter. But anyway, highly recommend picking up one of the Hydras, either the Hydra, the Kraken, or the Cthulhu. I can tell just from shooting this model that the other ones are going to be phenomenal as well. I could tell as soon as I saw pictures of this and how Metro is holding this would be one that would work very well for me. And indeed it does. This is a phenomenal design. One that I highly recommend, is quickly becoming one of my favorites. This is simply great. I can't say enough about this frame. So anyway, go get yourself one or pick up a frame that you already have and go do some shooting.